is a video for people who have tight hips from sitting at a desk all day. If you drive a desk, I probably don't need to tell you that it can be rough on your low back and on your hips. So I had a friend send me a message this morning saying all of those things and asking if I had any moves to help her hips, and I do, and I thought I would just do them in the chair so that way you can do them throughout the workday as you need to. So the first move I've got for you is a figure 4 stretch. You take your right ankle and cross it over top of your left knee, and then that's it. You want to engage this foot a little bit, so you've got a little bit of action going on here. This is going to protect your knee, and then you just take this forward. I'm not pressing this knee down, but the knee does want to. You want to make it go down so that it'll stretch through the right hip more. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about as soon as you get into this stretch. So the more forward you lean, send your chest forward. This is going to give you a deeper stretch in this right hip. So give yourself a few breaths here, stretching through that right hip. And then let's do the other side. So take 2 more deep breaths here. Just deepen the stretch to whatever degree feels good to you on the right hip area. One more exhale to deepen that, and then go ahead and come back up. We'll just take the other side. So cross left ankle over top of right knee. Again, put a little action in this left foot, and what that does is help to engage the muscles around the knee, just providing a little bit of protection there for you. And then again, think chest, heart moves forward. This knee wants to move down, but you're not really pushing it. Don't force it, and you'll see what I mean when you get there. The stretch comes through pretty easily. Keep pouring your chest forward, and more intention forward with this chest is going to bring this stretch into the outside of your left hip and hopefully feel really good. So take a few more breaths here. With each exhale, maybe you can sink a little bit lower and get a little bit deeper stretch in that spot. Take one more great big deep breath here. And then go ahead and come back up, and then we're going to twist. So what I'd like for you to do here is pay attention to your knees and the fact that they are generally together. There's not one that moves forward of the other one. And you'll see what I mean in a moment. As soon as you twist over to the right, this left knee is going to want to move out to the left. You keep these babies on par and just twist your spine. So with an exhale, this tailbone energetically moves down and the belly button moves in toward the spine, and maybe you can bring this out a little bit more. Don't sacrifice your knees though, they stay put, and what that does is keep your hips in place so that you're twisting your shoulders around. Depending on how much mobility you have in your neck, you could continue to bring your gaze around to the right. I don't have a lot of mobility in my neck, so you can't really see it, but again, just kind of allowing your own spine to twist and turn in its own natural way. Bring this through center and then take your twist on the second side. So now I'm going to look out for this right knee to try and shoot forward, and that's not going to help me twist. I need to keep my hips here and twist my shoulders around, and that's a proper twist. And then the actions that you can't really see me doing are my tailbone is continuing to drive down, and that's bringing my belly button in toward the spine, so everything's protected here, allowing my spine to twist. And again, if you can take the gaze over to the left, go for it. I have a little bit more mobility on this side, but do what your neck can do and just leave it at that. Go ahead and bring this back. Grab the back of your chair. Grab the back of your chair. Look out for your elbows. Don't allow them to lock out. Keep a little eensy-weensy bend in there, and then just like you did with your figure 4 stretch, you're going to take your heart forward. You're taking your shoulder blades together behind you. You're absolutely pulling on this chair so that you can get some good traction going, and you're just opening your chest here, right? So it's just kind of the opposite motion of sitting at your keyboard. Now, let's do a little bit with the arms. Even though we're trying to focus on the hip area, there's a lot of working together that your shoulders and your hips do. So if one's sore, probably the other needs some attention too. So let's go ahead and give them that attention. Cross your right elbow underneath your left. Maybe you can bring your hands together. Maybe that's not really an option for you. You could do backs of hands together, or secret option B, you can just give yourself a hug. What you're looking for here is a separation of these shoulder blades. So where we were just back here drawing the shoulder blades together, here they're very, very, very separated. You're separating the shoulder blades. You're lifting your elbows. You're pushing these forearms forward, and then you're taking all of this forward to whatever degree makes sense for you. This is a stretch for your neck and shoulders. Should feel really, really good. And you're kind of giving the weight of these forearms over to gravity so that gravity can do its job. So take a couple of breaths here, just breathing as deeply as you can. Send that breath into your chest so it kind of puffs up and you run out of room. And then as you exhale, you can deepen the stretch a little bit more. Give the weight of these forearms over to gravity just a little bit more. Get a little bit deeper stretch through your shoulders. And then go ahead and bring this back up to vertical. Release this. Come back to where we just were. Grab the back of your chair. Don't lock out your elbows. Send your heart forward. Pull on this chair. Draw shoulder blades together behind you. Just open through that whole chest area. Okay, let's do your other side. So come back to your eagle pose. Now it's left arm underneath the right. And it's the exact same motion. So go into your back with your mind and separate your shoulder blades. And then as you separate those shoulder blades, imagine the shoulders moving down away from the ears, and there's this sort of scooping action where the elbows come up a little bit higher. So this is a pretty spicy stretch at this point. If you found that you kind of liked it here, you could stay vertical. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to move forward, go ahead and just take your sweet self forward. And then again, you're looking for the spot that makes sense for you. This is a pretty big stretch on your shoulders. You might not have to go that far. I'm letting my arms be heavy. I'm letting gravity have them, and that's deepening the stretch. So if that's too much for you, just back out of it. This is all about inviting openness in your body, so don't push it. Just invite it with the breath. So again, breathe deeply here. One more time with that chest stretch. Go ahead and come back up to vertical. And then grab the back of the chair. And then nestle in. Draw your heart forward. Shoulder blades are moving together down your back. And you're just opening through the whole front of your chest. Okay, so I have two more things for you. These both have to do with lunges and opening up through the front of the hips, which was actually her original concern. So we need to get these guys, the hip flexors. When you're seated, the hip flexors are flexing all the time, so we want to do some reverse of that. So take your chair. Bring this into a warrior one. So my right foot is near the chair. I step back with my left foot. My feet are a little bit apart. They're about as wide as my chair, not quite as wide as my chair. My right toes are pointing at 12 o'clock, and my left toes are pointing at like 10 or 9. Grab the back of your chair, and then you're just going to push the hips forward. You're bending this right knee. It's moving toward a 90-degree angle, but it doesn't have to be a 90-degree angle. What I want you to do is just go in your mind's eye into your left hip, your whole left side. Press the pinky toe edge of your left foot down so you get some strong action on the outside of that left leg, and then make this hip come back forward. So what you're really doing now is putting a nice big stretch on this hip flexor. Nice and proud through the chest. If your balance is feeling pretty good, you can let the arms go up. But if you're at the office or you just kind of feel weird about doing the whole thing, you can just keep your hands down here and just keep working on this left forward hip. So these are warrior one legs, and then I wanted to add also a lunge in here. Now that we've begun to open this up, we can get into it further by doing a lunge. So a lunge is going to take your back foot a little bit further back, and you're going to come onto the ball of that foot. Okay? So your right leg didn't really change. It was your left foot that went back a little bit, and this lunge has you on the ball of your left foot. The heel is in the air. And now you can really sink down into these hips. push that left hip forward and you'll really feel your hip flexors start to stretch through here. So again, with the proud chest, think about the shoulder blades moving down away from your ears and keep sinking down lower and lower and lower. You're trying to take this left hip forward and down. You're really powerful with that back leg, and you're pretty powerful with the forward leg too. Both of these legs are really working to kind of build some heat in here. And then you're just really allowing this left hip to stretch by keeping the power in the back leg and pushing the left hip gently forward and sinking down. Let's do your other side. Go ahead and take this apart. Left foot steps forward, right foot steps back into a warrior one. So my feet are about 3 feet apart. Your mileage will obviously vary. Your feet width-wise are about as wide as your seat pan. But again, just kind of work with what works for you. These left toes are at 12 o'clock and the right toes are at about 2 or 3. And then bring your focus into the pinky toe edge of that right foot. Press that right foot down. So what you start to feel is the front of this right hip. The whole right leg really fires up. So then again, just sink down here. You might have to kind of adjust your feet a little bit so you can get in. The right knee is moving toward 90 degrees, but again, this isn't really a warrior one for the sake of doing the warrior one. It's warrior one for the sake of opening your right hip. So keep your attention on that right foot. Keep pressing pinky toe edge of the right foot down, which is going to rotate your leg properly. And then taking this right hip forward, even though that back foot is still pinned down like that. You should start to feel your right hip flexor fire up a little bit. There's more strength in here now, so just letting this kind of percolate a little bit. Just let it steep in there. And then let's go ahead and make this into a lunge. So from here, I'm going to kick this foot back a little bit more. I'm now on the ball of my right foot. Both of my hip points are pointing directly forward, and I can really sink down in here. I'm super powerful with this right leg, pressing through that back heel, and that is bringing my right hip down and forward, and my right hip flexors are getting a nice stretch. The whole front of my right side feels really good and stretchy. So hopefully that's for you too. Take a couple more breaths here. Sinking down into that hip. All right, and then go ahead and bring your sweet self back up. Last thing, just to walk your everything back. So if you do any yoga, this is going to feel a lot like downward dog. Don't allow yourself to really just sink down, unless I guess it feels good, then do it. But really, there's structure to this. So you're pushing down onto the top of the back of this chair, and that's kind of firing up my arms here. And I'm just sending my hip bones straight back, kind of dragging on this chair a little bit so I'm getting some traction. I'm getting a nice stretch through my underarms too. But this is for your low back. So tailbone points directly back, maybe even down a little bit. Let the whole low back stretch. And that's it. So hopefully it's just a couple of minutes throughout the day and you can find some relief for your aching back. I hope this helps.